Hey guys, Billy and Bonsai here. Hope your day is going well. And today I want to talk about the mind. And this topic is something that I really enjoy because I reference it to movies. So think of your mind as like a film camera, and thoughts are like pictures that are developed on the film. And so when you're in your mind, you're constantly looking at these pictures, which we call thoughts. But the point of meditation is that in between these stills, or these frames of these stills of these pictures, are gaps, or like little threads in between the images. And so in meditation, you become more aware of these gaps, or these little frame, or the space in between the frames in these pictures. Because when you are too aware of your pictures and your thoughts, then the mind takes control over you. It becomes a master over you rather than you mastering the mind. And this work is about mastering yourself and being able to look at your thoughts and observe them rather than become them, because we are not this mind. I like to describe the mind as something that has been implanted in us, or that in a way we've been kidnapped, and our mind has been replaced by this kidnapper's mind, by this thief in the night. And so we have to learn that this is not our mind. The thoughts, especially negative, they're not who we really are. They're this implant of artificial intelligence, which I sometimes call the ego, because whatever you program in your ego, it'll just continue to run and project for you in your life. So that's why I call it artificial intelligence, because if you believe it is evil, then it will project evil in your life. If you believe that there's good in the world, then it will project good for you in your life. That is how this ego construct works. And most of the time, everyone's ego has been altered with the negative thoughts in their animal soul, so they act like an animal, like a beast. And in their mind, they have all these beasts and lusts and animal instincts and behaviors that control them. And then they become only in search of power rather than peace and love, which we see rampant everywhere in the world. And we even praise them, and we put them on magazine covers and salute them and put them in the White House. So this is something that you have to wake up in your own ability, in your own way, shape, or form, about how the mind is psychotic, and it was built that way by believing in the thoughts and the pictures of your mind instead of the gaps. What creates those, or what is in between those thoughts? Because what's in between them, this emptiness, is who we really are. And I call it this deep silence. We are not the thoughts. We are the silence that resonate in your heart. Because when you are truly in love with a person, you'll see how much they are in love by their silence. If they're continually talking, maybe there isn't true love there, because then their mind is what their relationship is about, and not the heart, this deep silence. So in my clients that are in relationships or not in relationships, I usually find out what their addictions are, because so many people are addicted to this idea of love, or they're even in a relationship that doesn't serve them. So they continue to be abused, neglected, or traumatized because they're so addicted to being in love, which really, the shadow of that is that they're afraid to be alone. And the whole point is to be alone, to be okay in your aloneness, to be okay in your silence, because if you can't do that, then you aren't taking full responsibility of your life. If you can't be alone and handle your own life situations, then you need to take more responsibility and be more conscious to the things that keep you away from that responsibility. Because in between these spaces of these thoughts and pictures is everything that you could truly ever want and dream of, because all these thoughts, good and bad, are polarities. So they drain your energy. They create this tension. And a lot of people call it this pendulum, which needs to be still instead of going back and forth from these polarities. And I like to just describe it as balance, like a seesaw. You need to find this balance in the middle between the thoughts and the emotions. And so the idea of meditation is silence. It's a process, and it's not a technique. No one can train a technique of meditation, because it is a process. It is a flowering, because most people can't meditate at first because their mind is not trained to meditate. The mind is created to be unconscious. And so when you start to learn meditation, you can't really get there at first because you have to heal this unconscious part of you. You have to be aware of it. So it becomes conscious, because the unconscious part of us is the mind. And consciousness is what is meditative. So until you hit a meditative flowering, you're not aligned with your consciousness. You still are unconscious, because in meditation, it is silent. It isn't the mind. It is the heart. And the heart is deep silence and sometimes sadness. And that terrifies most people, because in aloneness, they then start to feel loneliness, when really it is just the fear that is holding them back from being alone. And being alone is the most self-love that you can give to yourself, because then you start to believe you can do anything and everything you can do with just who you are. And that is pure empowerment and joy and peace. And so when I have these meditations every week, I start in a basic level so people can understand the basic technique of connecting to your consciousness, so you can feel your energy. And sometimes at first it's really difficult for people, because my process is very powerful. It's not a basic meditation, and it's something that I've practiced for years and has worked for me to connect to my hub, to connect to my energy and my consciousness, my mother and my father. And that has empowered me and given me energy to create a new state of consciousness. And in my workshops, I work with people to develop this connection and this union, rather than feed knowledge and techniques, because that's still the unconscious. Consciousness is silence. And connect to this real silence, I use movies and knowledge, because there's a trinity that I feel that happens when you see a visual, when you hear it, and then when you feel it with the music. And that trinity is very similar to the mother, father, and the child. That is what I do in my workshops. I create an experience, kind of like a movie. I create a memory. And when you're in the mind, all these thoughts kind of create linguistic memories instead of true memories that are real and experienced. And that comes from feeling. Most experiences are created by the feeling and not by thinking it. The thinking it only aligns to that feeling. But if you can practice the energetic feeling of any experience, that is creating. That is using your consciousness and your energy, your Joseph and your Mary, to create a birthing of a new experience or a child, an idea, which is the symbolism of the nativity scene of Jesus being born. Because that birth is your imagination. Because whatever you combine with those energies and then you imagine it, you birth it into your reality, like a virgin mother. A lot of the time that's really hard for us, because we have an unhealed father and a mother that has been abused and traumatized and kind of hidden in captivity, has been kidnapped. So that's the work, to be able to free both our energies and to release a new state of consciousness from within us that creates an imagination that then is able to create a future reality. So I hope this video has helped you to think more about your inner world rather than the outer world, which is all illusionary and artificial, because the only thing that is real is inside of you. Your body is your home on earth. And if you can't respect and live in this body like a house, it's like your house and your home. You need to treat it with respect and honor it. And then reality will start reflecting that back to you. And the more mindful and conscious we become, the more that this new state of consciousness for the entire planet will be manifested, and will then be able to create this new reality that we all hear and dream about in this new age of Aquarius. So thank you again for watching, and I hope you have a great day.